Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney. Today is Thursday, November 18th. Thank you for being here for the top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. We start off with a story that is getting national attention. This is a different story than we've been following all week. I'm not talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse murder trial. I'm talking about the potential death sentence of Julius Jones, and it was commuted today by the governor of Oklahoma. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt commuted that death sentence to now a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Now, Jones has proclaimed his innocence for what he was convicted of in a 1999 killing of an Oklahoma City man. So commuted again today to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. This is a big deal because he had been scheduled to be executed today, and now that is not happening. His life has been spared. Now, the state's Pardon and Parole Board recommended in a 3-1 vote on November 1st, that the sentence be commuted by the governor to life in prison. Several members of the panel agreed they had doubts about the evidence that led to Jones's conviction. So now let's talk about the circumstances that led to this, leading up to this moment. Jones, who is now 41, was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to die for the 1999 shooting death of a business person named Paul Howell during a carjacking. Now, Jones says that he was framed by the actual killer, a high school friend of his, and a former co-defendant, and that person was a key witness against him in that trial. But Oklahoma County District Attorney David Prater and the state's former Attorney General Mike Hunter, they said that the evidence against Jones was overwhelming. Trial transcripts show that witnesses identified Jones as the shooter and placed him with Howell's stolen vehicle. Although I will say there is a lot of research out there that witness identification is not necessarily all that reliable a lot of the time, and that's not my opinion. There is a lot of expert research on this topic. Investigators did also find the murder weapon wrapped in a bandana with Jones's DNA in an attic space above his bedroom, but Jones said in his commutation filing that the gun and the bandana were actually planted there by the actual killer. Again, remember, the key witness against him in that trial, and that he had been inside Jones's house after the killing. Now, when news came out about Jones's case, when it first came out, it was when it was profiled in The Last Defense. That was a 3-episode documentary produced by actress Viola Davis. That aired on ABC in 2018. So since then, a lot of people with big names giving a lot of attention to Julius Jones' case. That includes reality television star Kim Kardashian West, who has been instrumental in working to get people sentences reduced and people who were in prison wrongfully freed. Also, athletes with Oklahoma ties, including NBA stars Russell Westbrook, Blake Griffin, and Trae Young, and our very own Cleveland Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield. Remember, he played in college for football in Oklahoma. Now, with his execution scheduled on Thursday, Mayfield told people during a press conference on Wednesday, because he has been vocal about this. He had a desperate tone on Wednesday when he was talking about this. He said it was pretty rough, to be honest. He was visibly emotional. He said it's not something that's easy for him to talk about. He's been trying to get the facts stated and the truth to be told for a while. He said it's tough to think about, and it's a shame that it had gotten as far as it did. Again, remember, these comments were made yesterday. So yesterday he said, we're 24 hours away. It's tough. Hopefully God can intervene and handle it correctly and do the things he needs to do. Well, the governor of Oklahoma did intervene and did commute that sentence. So now Julius Jones will not be killed. But for now, he will be still serving the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now let's talk about the other national case that has gotten a lot of attention, another story that all of you are clicking on WKYC.com. It's the Kyle Rittenhouse murder trial, and the jury has now entered its 3rd day of deliberations, and we do now know that video that the jury had requested to see again will be shown to them again. Now, this was a debate between the prosecution and the defense. What this video is, it's drone footage that the prosecution presented in the closing arguments to say that Rittenhouse instigated the attacks that led to the killing of 2 men and the wounding of another person. Now, this all happened at the demonstrations in Kenosha, Wisconsin in summer of 2020. These were demonstrations that were happening in Kenosha, Wisconsin after the shooting of Jacob Blake, a black man, by white police officers in Wisconsin. So this was part of many demonstrations that were taking place around the country around racial injustice. So the jury will see that video. This is after the defense had submitted for a mistrial. They said they had submitted for a mistrial without prejudice, meaning if a mistrial was granted, the prosecution could try the case again. So that issue aside for the moment, but the jury will see that video, and they are now in their third day of deliberations. As a reminder, Rittenhouse, who is now 18, was 17 when these acts were performed. He is on trial for homicide and attempted homicide charges for the killing of 2 men, wounding of a third, using an AR-style semi-automatic rifle during the nights of protests after the police shooting of Jacob Blake. And if he is convicted of the most serious charge, he will face life in prison. Now, back here in Northeast Ohio, the Coast Guard has suspended its search for a missing person in Lake Erie. This is after boats collided near Huron. And apparently, we've had quite the discussion about this in the newsroom. I have been saying it wrong. I've been saying Huron my entire life, but if you ask the locals, you pronounce it Huron. So if you're hearing that for the first time, we are learning something together today. So it is pronounced Huron, and we do know that the Coast Guard is now suspending its search for a missing person after those boats collided. We do know that 3 people were taken from the water. The 4th person was missing. We also know that of those 3 people that were taken from the water, 1 of them has passed away. Now, the Coast Guard did say that the crews are standing by and ready to respond if further developments come about, but as of now, they are suspending the search for that 4th missing person. Now today, Dr. Bruce Vanderhoff, who is the head of the Ohio Department of Health, is talking about our COVID-19 numbers, and he's painting a pretty grave picture. He said that the Delta variant seems to have gotten a second wind here in Northeast Ohio, that hospitalizations have risen, and that 1 in 7 patients in our hospitals has COVID-19 right now, and also the case numbers are high. These are the highest numbers we've seen since early October when it comes to COVID-19 cases. And Dr. Vanderhoff says in order to stop this, what people need to do is if you haven't yet got your COVID-19 vaccine, you need to do that. And if you are eligible and you haven't yet got your COVID-19 vaccine booster, you need to do that too. Dr. Vanderhoff said today, we all want to be on the other side of this thing. In order to be there, we simply need to get more people vaccinated. Now let's take a look at those COVID-19 numbers. Yesterday, we didn't have the numbers when we did 3 News Now. They weren't quite yet out. So I'll tell you, yesterday there were 6,382 new COVID-19 cases. Today, that number even higher, 6,615 new reported COVID-19 cases. Again, Dr. Vanderhoff telling us these are the highest numbers we've seen since mid-October. The total number of COVID-19 deaths is now at 25,813. And right now there are 2,963 people in the hospital being treated for COVID-19. Of those, 787 of them are being treated in an ICU. Now, we have some interesting information about CVS. They will be closing a lot of stores. They will be closing over the next 3 years, almost 1,000 stores, 300 stores per year over the next 3 years. Now, CVS has about 10,000 stores across the country. What they're looking to do is reduce what they call their density in some places. They said they've taken a look at where their customers are and how their customers are shopping. I'll tell you this, some CVSs are very close to each other. Right here in downtown Cleveland, there are 2 on East 9th Street within blocks from each other. So some of those will probably be closed as they look to sort of shore up their operations and cut losses. Now, if you have used TikTok, you could be eligible for some money out of a big settlement for the company. If you use TikTok or Musical.ly anytime until September 30th of this year, you can now file a claim. You could get part of a proposed $92 million settlement. Now, that is a lot of money, but there are a lot of people that use TikTok. So the settlements will probably be relatively small, but this is a federal class action lawsuit, and what it says is they're accusing the company of illegally keeping and using personal data from users. Now, TikTok and its Chinese parent company ByteDance, they say they didn't do any of that, but they did agree to a settlement back in February anyway. So to submit a claim, you go to TikTokDataPrivacySettlement.com. We have that linked on WKYC.com. You can fill out a form online or you can print them out and mail it in, and you'll be asked for a payment method. You can give them your Venmo, you can give them your PayPal or a virtual prepaid card. Those are some of the options. Parents can submit claims for children as well. Now remember, again, I said it's proposed for $92 million, but there are so many TikTok users in the U.S., and that's not even including people who used Musical.ly, which is sort of the predecessor to TikTok. So this federal lawsuit was also filed in Illinois, and it focused on Illinois' biometric privacy law. And what this law does is it lets people sue companies that take their data without their consent. So because of that particular provision, because of that Illinois law, it's possible that people in Illinois, residents of Illinois who are part of this settlement, they could get 6 times more money than people who live elsewhere. for the settlement. So keep that in mind. Now, if you want to be excluded from the settlement, you can opt into exclusion by January 31st, 2022. But if you want to file a claim for the settlement, you need to do that by March 1st, 2022. So you do have some time. But again, you've got that link on WKYC.com if you want to check that out. Now, let's turn to football. And what we were talking about today are some of the 75 best players for the Cleveland Browns. Because it is the Cleveland Browns' 75th anniversary, our digital team has been cataloging the top 75 players. So the article that's out right now are numbers 11 through 25. If you want to see the other players, 26 through 75, those are already up on WKYC.com. You'll have to stay tuned for the top 10. But we'll give you just two from numbers 11 through 25. Number 25 has been determined to be Myles Garrett. Yes, he is only in his 5th NFL season, but he's already made a case to be one of the best defenders that Cleveland has ever seen. He has 54.5 career sacks. That's the second best officially in team history. He has 12 quarterback stops in 2021. That's leading the league right now. And he has a record for the Browns of 4.5 sacks in one game. It seems like he's pretty much a shoo-in for Defensive Player of the Year. Just when is the question there. And number 24, legendary Browns quarterback Bernie Kosar. He could be maybe the most beloved Browns player of all time. And he definitely immediately captured the hearts of Browns fans when he came on the scene. He played for the team for 9 seasons, a 2-time Pro Bowler, threw for almost 22,000 yards, which is the 3rd best in team history, and 116 touchdowns. That's the 4th best in Cleveland Browns history. He took the Cleveland Browns to 4 division titles and 3 AFC championship games, and that was a great time to be a Browns fan. Now, for the rest of that list, again, go to WKYC.com. And before we let you go here, there is a new sneak peek of what the Cleveland Guardians gear will be like. That official switch is happening tomorrow at 9 a.m. That's when the team shop will open at Progressive Field, and it's going to be quite an event there. The first 50 shoppers there will get a prize. They're going to have donuts, coffee, raffle prizes. This will all happen at the Friday launch, Friday, November 19th, so tomorrow. I don't even know what day it is. It has been quite a week here. Okay, so that's opening tomorrow, 9 a.m. That's when it'll open. That's when we've got the launch. And we're going to see a new Twitter handle, by the way, for our baseball team. This was announced on the previous Twitter handle with the team's previous name. So we'll see tomorrow what they ended up with on social media and what that website looks like, and it'll be a fun reveal for all of us. Okay, that's it for today's 3 News Now update for Thursday, November 18th. Yes, it's Thursday, November 18th. Tomorrow is Friday, November 19th. I will see you back here tomorrow with more 3 News Now.